Eumundi, home to a twice-weekly market, 2 pubs, and what is quite possibly the most unique servo in the country. To the town's north is the district showgrounds. It is here that the town's rugby union club plays. Come the middle of March and season 2020, Eumundi officially convened a senior side, the first to represent the town in 100 years.
The Eumundi Club got the idea to field our reserve grade side about the middle of last year, about the middle of 2019. And the reason why is that was coming up to the centenary of the last time that Eumundi had an adult team playing in a Sunshine Coast comp in rugby union.
And that 100 years ago was when the entire competition just up and went to league.
To league, yeah. It was early 1920, the 10 clubs on the Sunshine Coast. They came together, had a meeting in Nambour, and as one, they decided to move over to rugby league.
They've been talking about it for 2 or 3 years, the idea, and they finally decided to bite the bullet this year, and they started towards the end of last year in November. They started recruiting, they actually started training at the end of November, early December, getting ready, and gradually built up, but it was a slow start. But by the time they took the paddock on that first game, they had a full side plus reserves, and a couple of the other clubs up there offered players in the second half just to give a few of the guys a rest, which is, once again, that's what rugby's all about. We're not playing for sheep stations, we're playing for the benefit of the people who love rugby, both players and spectators, and I think that shows, those kind of things show people are in it for a bigger thing than just winning a game of rugby, and so that was a very successful day and kicked them off to a great start. So they'll be back when we start playing again, and they'll be ready to be competitive and have a lot of fun. Yep.
Well, there are a few coaches and dads, that were pretty keen, that are ex-players, and the main motivator was Dan Cooper, who is coach and player, and he's also one of the coaches of the junior team. So he actually coached the under 8s last year, which my son plays for. So we were all pretty keen to help that dream happen, and we'd seen photographs of the last team that played hanging out on the steps of the Imperial Hotel. So it's an old black and white photo, and that kind of helped us, guide our design of the jersey. So it's in these broad hoops, and just so that we've got that link back to the past. And coincidentally, the Imperial Hotel is still one of our sponsors, so that's really good.
We get great support from a lot of community businesses, right in towards Noosa, up around Karoi. What's the one in the south? I suppose the first one south would be Eumundi itself. But yeah, we get a lot of support.
So businesses might see the Eumundi Club as representing that particular corner of the coast that doesn't really get that much representation.
Sure. I'd say our two, oldest or longest sponsors would be the Imperial Hotel and Bendigo Bank. Bendigo Bank have been fantastic to us right from the formation of the club. They were in fact our very first sponsor of the juniors, and then they've continued that on to be sponsors of our reserve grade team as well.
Season 2020 will be the first of many. In fact, if things go to plan, they'll field an A-grade side in 5 years.
You got Eumundi coming back into the comp this year after being established for 100 years. Their first A-grade side, or reserve grade side, sorry, and they yeah, that's another really big thing for the coast, and it's really sad that the flow was interrupted by the unfortunate circumstances of the COVID virus, because the first game up at Yamundi was a really great day, and they were just so excited, and their players were excited, and the game was pretty even, and as a result of that, they've now got 23 plus players signed up for their reserve grade side, and they're going to really enjoy their rugby, and everyone's going to enjoy playing against them.
That's what we're certainly hoping for. We're certainly hoping one day, it won't be next year, but one day down the track, we will be able to put in an A grade side, a reserve grade side, and a Colt side. That's what we're sort of aiming for. Yes.
No, what would you need in place for, say, that A grade side and the reserve grade side?
What, numbers wise you mean, or facilities wise?
Bit of both.
A bit of both. Numbers wise, we'd probably need, for A grade and reserve, you'd probably be looking at between 40 and 50 players to fully have two, quite substantial teams. As far as the facilities go, we've got an excellent field. We're at the present time looking at putting in full field lighting. So we're looking at that. We're looking at some grants for that. And we're also looking at putting in a whole new set of change rooms and those sorts of things. So we need those things. We need lights, and we need change rooms and that.
So, were there any conditions that were put on them before they could actually put that side in, or?
No. The only condition put on anyone is that you enter into the competition. You've got to be confident at your own club that you have the playing strength. I don't think anyone would be silly enough to enter a team that wasn't physically fit and didn't have the skills and the playing strength to enter a competition, because even reserve grade can be pretty tough. So that's the only condition. They can show us and tell us that they have a competitive team. They've got the resources to provide the hosting, which is an important part of it, and all of that backup, the medical support and all of those things, and away you go. Yeah.
Would you be looking at night games like Nambour does?
Certainly. Yes, we would be looking at night games. And our fields there, we don't actually own those fields. We hire those fields from what's called the Yamundi Showgrounds Association. So those fields are not just used for rugby, they're used for a whole range of community things. So if we were able to get lights in there and change rooms and so on, could be used by a variety of sports and activities.
No, I didn't know there was a Yamundi Show Society.
There is, yes.
How supportive have they been to?
Very. We have a great relationship with our Showgrounds committee. A great relationship.
No, anyone from the club on that committee, or?
We do have a representative from the club on that committee, and also the vice chair of that committee is a previous member of our club.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Yamundi will restart their season against Caboolture on August 1. That game will kick off at 2:10 that afternoon at Caboolture's Petersons Road ground.
No!